Hi, Grant.
Hi, nice shirt.
I know. I wore it specially for this.
Awesome. You've got good taste, my friend.
Yeah. So I've seen the first four episodes. Really like what I've seen so far. It's a different kind of show. I really used to love Legion. That's not in the MCU, but I kind of got those vibes, especially later in the season. So really like how out there it is.
Oh, nice. I'm glad you're enjoying the journey.
Yeah. Speaking of the journey, where did this journey start for you in regards to this project in particular?
I work at Marvel Studios. So, Kevin Feige and Lou D'Esposito and Victoria Alonso and Brad Winderbaum are my bosses. And, this project came up and started talking to Kevin about it. And clearly I knew of Moon Knight working at Marvel. I'd never done a deep dive that I was able to do once we started this show. And once I got into these pages, as you probably know, that journey starts in 1975 on the pages of Werewolf by Night, and then goes through a couple different IPs where Moon Knight bumped in and out of between 1975 and 1980 until he got his own comic. But the deep dive I did, it always kept me guessing. I never quite knew where Moon Knight was going to go next on his adventure or on his as he was searching his soul and as he was having this incredible relationship with Khonshu, the Egyptian god. And it always kept me guessing. And that's what I wanted to help try to bring to the series, always trying to keep the audience guessing and on their toes. And I think through our great head writer, Jeremy Slater, and then our amazing directors, Mohammed Diab and Benson Moorhead, and our incredible cast, Oscar, Ethan, and May, I think we all are able to keep the audience guessing. And I think, March 30th, I think we're going to take them on a wild ride that they're not expecting, to be honest.
Yeah. The character, as you said, it traces back almost 50 years. But this is, you said that the project that you heard that it was brewing within Marvel, and Kevin had obviously had some ideas for it. How does it actually develop from being on Kevin's radar, and maybe it will fit in somewhere within this master plan of his, and where does that go to take in people and actually do their own take of it, and still being within this larger universe that is actually in.
Yeah, well, as a group, we internally take a look at the Moon Knight IP and what themes and tones inspire us. And
Yeah.
when you look at Moon Knight, some of those tones are globetrotting action adventure. Moon Knight is also an intense character study. On the Moon Knight pages, things go bump in the night, so it's a little bit spookier than some of the other Marvel IPs. And then also within the pages of Moon Knight, there is also the humor that's very evident in the broader Marvel Cinematic Universe. So we talk about those things that we want to kind of form around the TV show, and then we start talking to writers, and writers come in and give us pitches, kind of based on those tones and those themes that we just discussed. And Jeremy Slater came in and gave us a great take on, his idea of a potential Moon Knight series. And then we hire a writer's room, and we really start grinding it out and coming up with all the episodes, and then doing all the heavy lifting, with being led by Kevin. That's how the projects get started at Marvel. It's one of
Yeah.
the ways. It's one of the ways. There's many ways, but that's the way that the journey of Moon Knight started.
Yeah, and we obviously the fans obviously know that of Oscar Isaac from before, and Ethan Hawke obviously. May is probably someone that maybe not as many have seen before, except in Remy.
Yeah.
But I spoke with her, and I really liked what I've seen from her, and from what I understand, she actually got to know about the part via her Instagram account. The wife of one of the directors reached out
Muhammad.
directly to her.
Yeah, Sarah, Muhammad's wife.
And they obviously knew what they were looking for that part. And I was wondering, since she's basically the only female lead in this show, if there was a particular discussion of what you wanted to do with that character, since it's a really guy heavy series overall, apart from her character, which is a good character though.
Absolutely. May is amazing. The character she plays, Layla, is a very complex character in her own right. And, one thing we always talk about Marvel and when these things are starting or when they're finished, one thing that I think that sometimes gets lost, because the Marvel shows are big. They go through galaxies, they go through space, they go through all sorts of countries. But at their core, they're always intense character studies, whether it's Spider-Man, whether it's Tony Stark. And Moon Knight was another character study, and Layla, the role of Layla was an intense character study in its own right. So that's what we really focused on, is how to make the best character possible. And although on the page, Layla was written an amazing character in this journey, I don't think Layla really became the Layla you're going to see on screen on March 30th until May came aboard, because May was amazing. She was always poking and prodding. What can we do with this character? How can we turn the screws? And I think the Layla that's on screen that you're going to see in March 30th, I think people fall in love with, because May is portraying this amazing, intense character.
Yeah. You mentioned Spider-Man, and you obviously have your own history with Spider-Man as a producer back on the trilogy in the early 2000s.
Yes.
And I was wondering, it wasn't the MCU back then, even though that character actually is within the MCU now. So, but I was wondering what you having that experience in the back of your mind, what you can see, what the developments that have happened through this superhero industry for the past 20 years that you were in on very early on, and now definitely are in the center of again.
Well, I mean, I got very lucky and blessed in the fact that I was working with Sam Raimi, one of the great storytellers. And Sam Raimi, for him, when we were making the Spider-Man movies, when he was making the Spider-Man movies, it was always character first. If you don't fall in love with Peter Parker, if you don't understand the struggles and the tribulations that he's going through, you're not going to soar with him through the caverns of New York City. So that was always my focus working with Sam, has always started as a character exploration. And that's what I think, even though clearly Marvel does that as well, and they do it better than anyone, that was really what we rooted Moon Knight in again, is how do we tell the best character study? And then what are the other tones and themes that we bring around it? We brought around the Indiana Jones-esque globetrotting action adventure. We brought around the things that go bump in the night, the spookier aspects of Moon Knight on the page. We brought around, a Memento-esque character study where, Mark Spector and Stephen Grant are trying to find out who they are in this world. And so we just kind of combined all those into what is a very unique offering entering the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I can't wait for audiences to see Oscar Isaac play Moon Knight. It's a joy. I've been working on this project for years, and every time I get to watch a scene that he's in, that Ethan's in, that May's in, it brings this smile to my face, because they're truly working at the top of their game.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of me, myself, and Irene meets Indiana Jones in a way.
Yeah, I haven't heard that comparison. That's a good one.
Yeah. So I was wondering also how the discussions went. Making a character with mental health issues is something that shouldn't be done lightly, and it doesn't feel like you've done that either.
Yeah.
But how did those discussions go in the writers' room and with Oscar and with all of you guys?
Yeah, it's a good question. They always started, as you can imagine, by wanting to be very respectful and reverential to mental health. And so we had consultants that we worked with that helped guide us. Jeremy Slater, our head writer, was one of the guys leading that charge out of the box, just trying to be as respectful as possible. Oscar Isaac obviously took up that torch, always trying to be as respectful to mental health as possible. The experts, the consultants read our scripts, gave us notes. And, obviously we're working with a fictionalized version of dissociative identity disorder wrapped in a superhero story that is very supernatural. But from day one, it was just those North Stars: respect and being reverential to a very serious subject. And I think we were.
Yeah. How aware are you guys while making a show like this about the other shows or movies being made within this kind of universe at the same time? Or is that something that you actually try not to be involved with, because that might alter something within your own story that could have been better or worse, being affected by another project that isn't your own?
Well, that's one of Kevin Feige's true geniuses. The fact that he's got his hands in all these different Marvel Cinematic Universe opportunities. So he's the keeper of that broad story, and he's obviously also the keeper of the Moon Knight story. But really, we just focused on, what we talked about. This character's been around since 1975 from the pages of Werewolf by Night. When you have years, when you have decades of story to choose from, we just had our blinders on. It's like, how do we tell the best story for Moon Knight? How do we really dig in and give the audience what they need to know about Moon Knight? And that's what was so great about doing Moon Knight on Disney Plus, is having a broader canvas. Moon Knight could have been a movie, no doubt about it, but having that extended canvas in which to tell this action adventure, intense character exploration was a true blessing, because I do think, with the multi-episode offering that we're able to give to the fans, I think they're going to get to know Moon Knight, and I think they're going to have a smile on their face after the last episode airs.
Yeah. Sometimes we know prior to the series being released whether or not there are a standalone or a miniseries or a part of a bigger thing. A few of these shows, we know the characters will eventually end up in other movies or stuff like that. Not as much from what I've seen is known about where this project might go after this first season. Is this something you would like to go on a ride that's to second season, or to helm a movie or something? Or is this something you wanted to do one season, one take with this character?
Well, I'll tell you, as you can imagine, that's a wonderful question for Kevin Feige of where this character goes next. But I will answer that question strictly as a fan. I can't wait to see where this character goes next, whether it's a movie, whether it's a series, anything in between. I think this is a very rich character portrayed by an amazing actor in Oscar Isaac. And I think where this character goes in the future of MCU, I think the possibilities are limitless because of the different tones that this show does work with. We talked about the action adventure. We talked about the spookier side. We talked about the humor. We talked about the intense character study. I don't think there's too many corners of the Marvel Cinematic Universe that you couldn't see Moon Knight slide into if Kevin thinks that it's the right narrative to tell.
Right. So a final short question. When you watched the latest Spider-Man movie and saw parts of the one you were making all these years ago come into the MCU as well, what was your reaction to that?
My jaw dropped. It was such a great story, such a great adventure. And because I work at Marvel and because I know the character, I knew a few things, but I didn't know much. And man, I went on that wonderful ride with the rest of the audience. And I just had a smile on my face when the lights came up. What a great story. What a great director. I'm so happy that franchise is in such great hands. And I can't wait to see where Spider-Man goes next.
All right. Thanks a lot for your time, and good luck with the premiere.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks. Bye.